Coping with Tre Tailor, giving you info and advice to help you thrive in life, because we'll always be coping with something. Coping. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping. I'm Tre Tailor, and we're giving you info and advice to help you thrive and survive in life, because we will always be coping with something. Something many folks are coping with right now is caring for an aging loved one. Bernadine Gantt joins us. She has been doing that for about 25 years as a nurse. She joins us today to discuss caring for your loved one. Bernadine, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We'll get back with Bernadine in just a short, but first, don't forget to check the bottom of the screen. Throughout the show, we will have all kind of information on their resources, including finances, community event, if you need help paying your bills, your mortgage, your rent, job opportunities, a whole lot of stuff that will be scrolling on the bottom of the screen throughout the show. So please check it out. Post and share so we can get the message to the masses. A lot of people need that information. We are streaming on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So please post, share, like, and follow for Coping, hosted by me, Tre Tailor. Today, we're coping with caring for your loved one. Bernadine Gantt joins us. She has been working in the medical field since 1998, almost 30 years. She joins us today to discuss caring for your loved one. Bernadine, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So listen, how do you know, first of all, that someone needs care?
Sometimes as our loved ones age and get a little older, they're in need of some sort of help, even if it's just simple little light housekeeping duties around the house.
Right.
So certainly as we all get a little older, we're going to need some sort of assistance, whether it be with bathing, light housekeeping, running errands, doing little minor things, making sure they take their medications. So certainly we'll see a change in our loved ones, or certainly if our loved ones go through a traumatic stressor in their life, such as an accident or illness, such as a cancer or something that they've diagnosed with, they're certainly going to need some help to get through that process.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned minor things, because it might not be that you've got to live there or that the person needs 24/7 care. They just may need a little help, like you said, remembering to take their medicine, or, maybe, like you said, light cleaning or cooking, things like that. But that's the time, wouldn't you think, Bernadine, that we need to give help so that one, and this is what I'm just thinking, the person will be used to getting help, because it may end up being more, concentrated and long term, and so that the family members will kind of get used to it too. Wouldn't you think? We got to stay on top of it.
Sure, I think so. And certainly if you can get a great caregiver starting out early, you'll have a bond with a person that you're comfortable with, certainly as it get a little more intimate and intense, as far as doing personal care for the patient. So you can certainly get a rapport with your patients, and that will certainly go for a great, vibe as far as you and the patient in the long run.
How do you convince someone that they may need some help? I mean, I've heard so many stories about it, and I can just imagine. I will not want to stop doing nothing. You know what I mean? We none of us want to lose our independence. So how do you convince someone for their own good that mom, dad, auntie, let me help you do this?
Certainly, you don't want them to feel like, as we say sometimes, they're invalid or a burden to us. So what you can do is say, hey, I'll be a companion. I'll be someone there just to help, talk, have conversational pieces, do shopping errands, or if they like to go to lunch, things that they like to do, and just be that companion there to listen for them. And I think that'll kind of go over a little smoother for them, where they're not thinking someone's watching over their shoulders per se, but more of somebody that just there as a friend on a daily basis.
Yeah, we're talking to Bernadine Gantt. She is with Hands of Hope Nursing Aid Training Program. We're talking about caring for your loved one today on Coping. I'm Tre Tailor. So what are the qualities? Are there certain things that personality traits you need to be a caregiver, whether it's full-time, part-time, just, stopping by, as you say, for companionship?
I would certainly say the individual certainly needs to be caring and have a kindred spirit, because it's going to take a lot to deal with patients or loved ones, if it's someone in your family, to do some of the things that you'll have to do as a CNA for a person that you wouldn't ordinarily do for someone on a daily basis. So you're certainly going to have to be compassionate and caring just about a human being in general.
Yeah. What do you think about patience? Do people need to be patient?
Sure, because as our elderly ones get older, things slow down. So they don't move as fast. They might not move as fast as you and I when it comes to tying their shoes or putting on their coat. So it's going to be times where you're crushed for time and they're not moving as fast as you may want them to. But you certainly want to allow them to do things for themselves as long as they can possibly do it for themselves. So certainly patience is going to play a great part in that.
I know you're with the Hands of Hope Nurses Aid Training Program. Is that some place that people can go to get training to be a caregiver?
Yes, ma'am, there is. We are a certified nursing assistance program, and we offer classes to from 18 to 99, as my administrator would say. So there's certainly no age limit. You can come if you would like. Certainly, you have to be a little physically fit in order to live and do certain activities that will be required throughout the program. But the program is offered for 6 weeks, and in 6 weeks, your whole life can change.
Wow.
We offer classes Monday through Thursday from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. And then the 6 weeks of class is clinical time. So it's offered 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. And in 8 weeks, you're completely finished because you have also sat for your state board examination and you can become a certified CNA in 8 weeks.
Oh, wow. That's great. You had mentioned, we were talking about, that you have to be fit. That's another quality of a caregiver, especially if the person you're caring for maybe, has a little weight on them. You need to be physically fit enough to be able to lift them and things like that.
And you certainly want to be able to do it with good body mechanics so you don't injure yourself or injure the patient as well.
That's why you need to know, because I'm sure there's a right way and a wrong way to pick up somebody.
There certainly is. So you want to make sure you're using the right muscles when you're doing lifting for patients, especially if you don't have any kind of devices to assist you with that so that you don't injure yourself or certainly injure the patient in the process.
How many caregivers should there be for one person?
Well, it will certainly depend on the extent that the patient needs care. For someone who needs 24-hour care, you're certainly going to need more than one caregiver because you don't want that person to be burned out. So if a family member or a loved one can afford for 24-hour care for their loved ones, I would say at least 2 to 3 a day, just because you're going to need that trade-off so that the other person has the time they need for themselves.
Yeah. We're talking to Bernadine Gantt. She is with Hands of Hope, a nurses aid training program, and we're coping with caring for your loved one. We've been talking about what you need to have in place to care for a loved one in their home. What do you think is the best, I guess, mix of home care providers? A family member or a professional? When do you know when you need a professional and you need more than maybe just a family member?
Well, certainly if the family member has started out doing the care for their loved ones, certainly a lot of time with spouses, the husband just prefers his wife because, like I said, you're going to see the patient without clothes or in positions and compromising things that they don't ordinarily show others. So certainly you'll start off with maybe the wife doing a lot of the caregiving. She's going to get burned out really fast. So you're going to have someone that the patient is comfortable with. Some males might prefer a male patient to, a male staff to take care of them just because of the privacy. So certainly you want to make sure you get someone that's compatible for your loved one. If you can get family to do it, that's great, but you want to make sure it's a reliable person, someone you can depend on and not a hit and miss day because, this patient's going to need care 24 hours, 7 days a week.
How do you know, though? I mean, I know there are home care providers, there are nurses, there are CNAs. Which one is the right person to care for your loved one in their home?
And yet again, just depending on the kind of care they need. If you have a elderly one that just kind of needs someone to kind of sit and monitor them, you can certainly use like a personal care aide, and they're not certified. But if you need someone to do like hands-on and physical work as far as bathing them, helping them transfer from a bed to a wheelchair, good body mechanics, feeding them, to watching for stroke signs, or certainly things like choking, you might want to have a certified CNA because they have a little bit more training.
Bernadine Gantt joins us. We are coping with caring for your loved one today. We've been talking a lot about the qualities, the qualifications that a caregiver needs and what they can do for the person they're caring for. But I know sometimes, Bernadine, that caregivers get burnt out. How important is it for caregivers to get care and take time for themselves?
It is very important because we all know if you don't take care of self, you can't take care of others.
Right.
And certainly it's going to be stressful times and moments when you just want to give up. And if you get burned out, you're going to get to that point where you just can't do it anymore. And if you give up on your loved ones or the patient you're caring for, then who's going to do it for them?
Yeah. I know. I've got two little ones that I care for. And before that, so interesting, I think God kind of prepared me for the two little ones because I was supposed to be managing an elderly gentleman to help him with his career, but his health declined very quickly. And I ended up being his caregiver. And I tell you, I think we are so, we just need to take care of self. Sometimes we get in our heads and we think I'm being selfish by taking this time for myself. I even say now with the kids, I got to get my nails done. I got to get a massage. And not because I'm trying to be all fancy, but you need that time for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Everyone needs me time. So that's certainly important to certainly be, as we call, a holistic person. So you got to take care of all different avenues, and that includes taking care of self.
Because if, like you said, if you don't take that time for yourself, then you become stressed, you become angry, you become, on edge, and then you're not good for yourself or for the other person. Yeah, I just really stress that because that's so important. But I know that people, because I have gotten into a guilt thing where, I've got to focus only on the person and not on me, but you got to be selfless also.
Sure.
Yeah. Bernadine, if people want more information on Hands of Hope Nurses Aid Training Program, because you guys not only train, do you refer nurses aides to people who need home care providers?
Sure. We have certainly referred a lot of our students to people that may have reached out to our administrator for like personal aids in their homes, or looking for someone to do so many hours a week as personal care for their loved ones. And we certainly recommend our students highly because we certainly train them to the highest qualification so that they're able to go out and represent Columbia Hands of Hope in any setting.
All right. Bernadine Gantt is with Columbia Hands of Hope Nurses Aid Training Program. She's been in the medical profession since 1998, almost 30 years now. And she is joining us today as we are coping with caring for an aging loved one. Hey, Bernadine, thank you so much, not only for joining us today, sharing the information, but for what you do to help caregivers and those that they care for in our community. Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So again, you can see Bernadine's information on the screen. If you want more information about Columbia Hands of Hope Nurses Aid Training Program, again, you can get trained as a CNA, or if you are caring for a loved one, or if you need a referral for a care provider for your loved one, you can contact them. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you so much for joining us today on Coping. We'll be right back with your devotional and more next.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives, but when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Hey there. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping. I'm Tre Tailor. We're giving you info and advice to help you thrive and survive in life, because we will always be coping with something. Hey, before I leave, I want to share this devotional with you. This is from Conversations with God. It's from Cheryl Mims Williams with Agape Counseling and Training Services in Columbia, South Carolina. This is such a great book. It includes some of her prayers, some of her diary readings, and devotionals. This one says, "Trust me, my child. I know you're having a hard time praying, studying, and focusing on me. I know you don't like the way this feels. You can't rely on your feelings." That's good. This is about knowing, being faithful, and holding on. Knowing even if you don't feel or see it. Isn't that such a wonderful reminder that God is with us always, even if we don't feel it, see it, or hear it? We've got to know it, That's what faith is all about. It's from Cheryl Mims Williams from Agape Counseling and Training Services. This is called Conversations with God. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping. We're giving you info and advice to help you thrive and survive in life, because we will always be coping with something. The good thing about it is that we're never alone. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Coping, find peace of mind to survive through whatever. Coping, learning the way that we thrive all together. Coping, finding out what's real. Coping, we can heal, we can heal, we can heal. Coping with stress, coping with strife, bringing hope for success, for improving our life. Coping beyond hoping to do more than survive, ways to live a healthy life. Coping and promoting learning what you can do, 6 ways to a better you.